Hello and welcome to my first trimester recap. I am so excited to be making this video. I really want to be better at making videos on YouTube. I used to make videos on YouTube back when I was in high school, and I'll go back and watch my old YouTube videos as fun memories, and I really feel like it's like a vlog journal of my life, and I just love content creating, and I want to become better at it and become good at it. And so I want to film this video so that I can go back and look at all my memories from just pregnancy and all of the things. I'm so excited to be filming this, and so without further ado, let's get into it. So I'm kind of going to be talking about my journey of pregnancy, the full first trimester. Today I am 14 weeks and 1 day, and I also asked on Instagram to ask me questions, so if you want to go ahead and follow me on Instagram, if I do another one for the second trimester, you'll be able to ask me questions on there. But let's just get right into the questions. Also, when I first found out I was pregnant, I went to the store and bought this notebook, and I bought it as just wanting to document my journey with pregnancy. I really love to journal, and so I have documented, I haven't been perfect the last few weeks at doing it, but I've documented just different symptoms that I have from the very first day that I found out. So I'll read you from my journal the first day that I found out, March 29th, 2025, 4:37 p.m. It says, "Today I found out I was pregnant. I couldn't believe it. I did not think I was, but I was late on my period, and after begging and begging Landon, he finally agreed. I thought he was going to be upset that we wasted his test, but oh well. I thought, oh well, but turns out it was a positive one, so I took a second one to make sure, and it was. We found out at 11:11 a.m. after 2 hours of processing with Landon. He went golfing, and I went thrifting. It was so weird to go through the stores knowing I just found out, and not a single person knows. I got this journal to keep track of my symptoms and thoughts while I'm pregnant." Can you tell I'm out of breath? My symptoms so far at 4 weeks and 5 days is I'm super sensitive. Especially now I'm sensitive too, but at the beginning I was like crying at the most random videos on Instagram. I threw up a little bit yesterday. That was like a foreshadow for what was to come. Cramps. I thought they were period cramps. And diarrhea. I know a lot of people get constipation. Not me. I did not have that problem. And so that was my very first note within my pregnancy journal, and it's just so wild to think about. We wanted to become parents for, like, that's one of our dreams come true, and I'll get into all the details and everything, but it just was so unexpected, but so, oh gosh, my dog. Okay, let's get into the questions. What was it like telling friends and family, and how did you feel? Oh my gosh, that was like one of the most exciting things. I was so excited to do it. I wanted to just shout it from the rooftops that we were pregnant, and I couldn't believe that we could not do that. And so the first people that we told were my parents. Actually, we drove down that night to Tri-Cities, which is an hour away from where I live currently. And we told them, and maybe I'll post like a long form video of me finding out showing my family and friends. I do have a video on Instagram if you want to watch that. That's shorter and more condensed, but it was like the most surreal feeling. I didn't even, in a lot of the videos you can hear me be like, because I was so shocked, and I like didn't know how to respond. And we are surrounded by such amazing support that it was awesome. Some of my favorites was telling my boss. She was so excited, jumping up and down, and then telling my brother Austin. He started crying. That was so sweet. Telling my brother Nolan. Like, it was all so fun for me. So yeah. Were you guys trying, and if not, did you have any symptoms prior? I had a few random things that were happening, like the day before that we found out I was pregnant. I randomly threw up in the yard, and I honestly just thought it was like I ate something bad, and I was like, whoa, that was weird. And then I was super sensitive, but it was like nothing that because I was having cramps, I was like, and I always get period cramps, I was like, this is just another period. Like, I didn't think too much of it. And honestly, I do feel like the Lord told me I was pregnant, but I kind of just dismissed it, because I also think the Lord wanted to give me a surprise, because I've always wanted to be surprised finding out that I'm pregnant. But I just read into everything. Like, every month I think I'm pregnant. I always find out surprise birthday parties or gifts. Like, I'm just always very aware of that type of stuff. And so I was really like, I just dismissed it all. I think it was the Lord like just wanting to surprise me, but I also had a little bit of an intuition, if that makes sense. When did the morning sickness start for you? Oh gosh, the morning sickness starts, let's look at my journal, because once it started, it was, oh my gosh. I think, it doesn't say exactly, but if I remember correctly, I found out I was pregnant 4 weeks, 5 days, and then I think I had like a week and a half of like pure bliss. Like I was just living in just a dream. And then right around week 6 is when it really hit me. And it was like hardcore, it hit me. And I was throwing up every single day. And there was only, it like started to alleviate, and it is still alleviating, but I'm still throwing up. Like I threw up today. But yeah, so around week 6, and then it was really bad until I would say about week 11. And then it started to not be as intense, but I was still throwing up every day. But for those like 5 weeks, it was like all consuming all day. I had lost 7 pounds because I was throwing up so much in that time. It was not good. Did you get the really bloated feeling? I don't know if you mean like when I found out I was pregnant or now. Now I feel at different moments, if I eat certain things, I feel super bloated. And there's been one moment like where we were at youth group, and I literally felt like my stomach was like being like stretched. Like it was itchy, and it literally felt like I felt like I could feel it stretching, if that makes sense. But I've only had that one time, but there has been different days where I feel like I'm super bloated. And I think it also depends on the type of clothes I was wearing, because a lot of my like pants and stuff that I had, they started becoming tight on me, and then that just made everything feel way worse. Because just if I didn't feel bloated, putting on like something that was fitted to my body made me feel bloated, and it was uncomfortable. Anything tight around my stomach was uncomfortable. Any intense headaches? Yes. So I know they recommend for you not to take things unless you have to, or Tylenol, but I've been getting pretty bad migraines, and if I don't stop it early on, then it'll turn into like me being sick all day, and I'll be throwing up. And so I have been taking Tylenol throughout my pregnancy, because the headaches do get so bad that they turn into migraines, and then I'm sick all day and I'm throwing up, and I just can't live my life like that. So Tylenol has been a good friend to me. Did you use natural cycle with your Oura ring? So I have an Oura ring, and I haven't been wearing it because after I found out I was pregnant, I was super, super in tune with my cycle, as far as like knowing when, like watching, I was always watching my temperature. I was always watching my ovulation cycles when I wasn't ovulating. But you can tell a lot with your cycle by your temperature. And if you know anything about basal body temperature, it's very fascinating. And it's very cool to learn about in your body. But with that being said, after I got pregnant, so the way that if you don't know, when you get pregnant, after you conceive, and the egg connects to the sperm, why can't I say it? Progesterone, you know what I'm trying to say, I'll put it here. It should skyrocket because of the hormones changing in your body, which means that your basal body temperature should go high. Well, after you're pregnant for a while, your hormones in that area and your temperature will start to come back down. But when I saw it come back down, it really freaked me out. I had a lot of fear in my early pregnancy, like a ton of fear that I was going to lose the baby, I was going to miscarriage. And so I decided I'm not going to wear my ring, because watching my temperature and it changing, even though my literal ring app told me that that was a normal thing that was going to happen, it messed with my mind, and I just decided it's better for me not to know, especially because I was so fearful of losing the baby. And so, but all of that to say, I was wearing my ring. I actually did not use natural cycles. So funny story, I always wanted to get the app Natural Cycles because it just is a lot easier to detect and tell you ahead of time, this is your predicted ovulation window of when you're pregnant. But Landon didn't want to pay for another subscription fee. So what we ended up doing is I used my temperature on my ring to kind of track when I was going to be ovulating, while also I had 2 period apps that I've been using for the last 5 years. And so I kind of correlated those two apps with my ring and my temperature and knowing when I was fertile and when I wasn't. So I didn't use Natural Cycles, the app, but I used Aura Ring and the tools that I learned a ton about my cycle. I watched a lot of videos on it. So not with Natural Cycles, but with just knowing about my cycle and using period apps prediction also. Has pregnancy been what you thought it would be / expected? I would say yes and no. I would say there's been the beauty. I'm like, it's been the most crazy miracle, and it's awakened something inside of me that I'm like, okay, I'm gonna be a mom, which means the things that I struggle with, the things that I consume, like, are gonna consume my baby if I don't figure out it first, you know? And so in that aspect, it's been like really beautiful and a really good challenge, and something I feel like I probably like would have thought would have happened just because I'm carrying a life inside of me. What I didn't expect to happen is to like really know how sick I would be for a while, and how hard it was. Like when I was really sick, I was like, I don't want to work. I didn't want to do anything. I wanted to completely back away from everything. Now that I'm feeling better and it's not all day, I'm like, I'm fine. Like, you know, but at the moment it's like, I want to quit my job. I want to stay home. I was so miserable, because when you're sick and then you're like also having to just go be around people, it just is hard. What's gonna happen is just how many opinions I've gotten because we are just in we have a great church and we're very involved in church, and then I also like to share things on Instagram, so people love to give me their thoughts and opinions, which is both expected, also annoying, but also a little bit like you kind of realize, wow, people just really don't, like, they don't have a filter. Are you gonna do a gender reveal, or are you going to wait till they're born? I don't know if we're going to do necessarily a gender reveal, but we will find out the gender. We were waiting. We had an appointment today, actually, and we had thought we were going to do genetic testing. And after today, we just decided, because with genetic testing, you find out just a ton of other stuff too. I want to be in oblivious land. If something's going on with the baby or something that would be wrong, like, I don't want to know. Like, we'll get to it when we get to it. Like, our doctor was telling us, the genetic testing is really just so that we can prepare. So like if the baby, for instance, is surviving in the womb but won't survive outside of the womb, well, we would prepare for that, or I could prepare my heart for that. Or if the baby had some sort of Down syndrome and had problems with their heart that they needed to have an immediate surgery, we could correlate that. And I'm just like, I don't feel like it's necessary. And also at this point, we'll be able to find out the gender in less than 2 months, doing an ultrasound. So we're just going to do that. But yes, give us the juiciest piece of an unsolicited advice given to you already. I've been trying to think about this all day because I do get a ton of opinions. There is a lot of people that in our life that it's hard, and I want to be careful and kind and sensitive when I say this, because I never know who's watching my videos. But I have had people like make comments like, oh, I can't wait to hold a baby, and I'm like, I have no idea who they are. So that's a little bit like interesting. That's not necessarily advice, but I'm like, I don't know who you are. And I think people think that I'm a very like public person because my life is pretty public, but I'm actually like I'm pretty private, and there's certain things in my life that I like to really keep that way and keep like, I don't know, there's just certain pieces of me that I'm protective of. So when I was like, oh, okay, like in my mind I was like, I don't know who you are. That was unsolicited advice. I've had people like out of good heart tell me 1,000,001 things that I should do, and it's sometimes really overwhelming, especially if I'm not asking for it and it's just like random, and it's all out of good heart. So it's not anybody being like trying to overwhelm me. Just so much information online. One side is telling you that eating deli meat is perfectly fine. You're gonna be healthy. You can work out just as hard. You can train your body. You can go for runs. And then you have the other side of the internet telling you like not to do any of that. This is not the moment for that. Like, you're just like, I feel like I'm in like, what's right, what's wrong, you know? I've had a few people ask me if we're gonna move houses, because our house, what you're looking at is what's going to become our bedroom. because our house is only a 1-bedroom and it's very small. And as much as we would love to buy a house, we don't have the money to buy a house right now. And just because we're having a child does not mean that we can do that. So that's been kind of funny. Again, nobody's trying to be rude or just weird, but yeah. Were you tracking your cycle before you got pregnant or just willy-nilly tracking my cycle? We were in a really stressful season of life, and I just don't think I was paying attention to my cycle during that specific month. There was a lot happening. We were super busy. And so that's when we got pregnant. But it was a really busy month, and I wasn't paying attention close enough to my cycle. So what surprised you the most about pregnancy? I've been having is like pregnancy brain. I've been having hot sweats at night. Like I wake up sweating. A lot of food aversions. I don't want to say I have any strong cravings. There's things that sound good in the moment, but I don't have any strong cravings. I have a ton of food aversions, things I don't want to eat, things that sound gross. My perspective on life has changed. I am like, the moment I got pregnant, I was like, okay, like I need to go buy vitamins. I can't be eating this. I need to be this. And it just was like my whole world in a moment flipped. And it was like, I'm now responsible for another human being. And I think that was the most surprising thing, because I knew that like would happen, like a motherly instinct, but like the moment I found out, it was like I went to the store and I got prenatals, and I like it. So I think that's been the most surprising, is just like all the things that change in your body, but also just your perspective on life. I'll give you a bump update. My 14-week bump date, 14 weeks in 1 day. So that was my first trimester Q&A. Thank you so much for tuning in. If you have any questions or any video ideas you want to see, whether it be pregnancy related or just even lifestyle related, I want to start vlogging like what it's like going to church on a Sunday as youth directors or things like that. Please let me know in the comments. I would love to film those. If you want to go ahead and subscribe, follow me on Instagram, all of the things. But yes, I'll see you in my next video, and thank you for watching. Bye.